I am Caesar, Julius Caesar of Rome, the emperor. I am also a female. Does anybody here believe that I am Julius Caesar? Anybody believe that? No? Of course not. It's ridiculous. I'm not Caesar. I'm not a woman either. I'm here as a father who loves his children, who loves his country. And I'm here to talk about this duty of a school board and the Department of Education. Your duty is to act in the best interest of children. It is to teach truth, not lies, facts, not fiction, biology, not a social agenda. As taxpayers, we deserve to have our children taught what we pay for, and it's not anyone's social agenda, whether it be right or left. It's about the children. It's about the children. And that's what we all love, and these children that are born into our custody, we have a duty to protect them. And we have a duty to nurture them to their own self-actualization when they can declare whatever sexuality they want to be. And we will love them, no matter what it be. Doesn't matter. But engaging and facilitating gender confusion, gender dysphoria, is developmentally injurious to the mental and emotional capacities of children, especially elementary school students. So I'm here to call for the suspension of Murphy and the suspension of Principal Gallo for facilitating gender confusion and gender dysphoria in the Christopher McAuliffe Elementary School. I'd also like you to resign your seat for facilitating it as well. And I want you all to know you're all going to be famous. Now, with respect to the audience, I love that love. I give that love back. You know what I love? I love my children. I love my country. I love life, liberty, and happiness for all. That's what I love, okay? And if we can't get on board with that, we ain't going to have a country. That's all I got to say.
When people refuse to respond to direct, reasonable questions about what the little ones are being exposed to, it tells me they already know it's indefensible. Bureaucrats get far too comfortable hiding behind procedure, time limits, silence, while real families deal with the consequences of those decisions or their decisions. That's why watching this father, this dad, mattered so much. No hysteria, no theatrics, just truth, clearly stated. This is what it looks like when a parent actually does the homework, read the material, and refuse to be gaslit. And I've heard people say we need more moms involved, and that's true. But we also need more fathers, more dads like this. Fathers who stand up, speak clearly, and refuse to be brushed aside.
I have been a teacher in Loudoun County Public Schools for 5 years and a teacher for 10. This summer, I have struggled with the idea of returning to school, knowing that I'll be working yet again with a school division that, despite its shiny tech and flashy salary, promotes political ideologies that do not square with who I am as a believer in Christ. After reading about your lack of consideration for the growing population of concerned citizens in this division, clearly evidenced by this empty room tonight, where you shut the doors to the public, as well as the emails sent by the superintendent last year reminding me that a dissenting opinion is not allowed even to be spoken in my personal life, going so far as to send a form to my colleagues and I encouraging us to fill it out if we hear one another speaking against the controversial policies being promoted by this school board and adopted in this county. I was told in one of my so-called equity trainings that white Christian able-bodied females currently have the power in our schools and that, quote, "This has to change. You no longer value me or many other teachers you've employed in this county. So since my contract outlines the power that you have over my employment in Loudoun County Public Schools, I thought it necessary to resign in front of you. School board, I quit. I quit your policies, I quit your trainings, and I quit being a cog in a machine that tells me to push highly politicized agendas on our most vulnerable constituents, the children. I will find employment elsewhere. I encourage all parents and staff in this county to flood the private schools.
Their job is to teach our kids math, science, biology, literature, and that's it, not ideology. Now you want to push garbage crap like pronouns? How the hell does that keep a kid from succeeding? How does that help them? Does that teach them how to add? You want to push that garbage down my kid's throat? I will make you call my kids king and queen. That's how we'll address my sons and my daughter. And you look at me, you call me master. You want that pronoun to be in your mouth when you look at me?
Where are the school board's boundaries? Where does the absurdity and overreach of radical government stop? Absurd shutdowns, an absurdly protracted period of distance learning that defied logic and data, and an absurdly radical transgender policy that violates our children's privacy and safety. Why has public school become so mired in extremist politics and a permissive culture that seems to celebrate the latest popular fads like gender fluidity?
And that's exactly why certain school boards fear them. Because an informed parent is the last thing a corrupt system wants to deal with. And don't overlook the disrespect baked into the process itself. You are told you only have 3 minutes. 3 minutes? Only 3 minutes to address a board that holds authority over your child's education and safety? 3 minutes? To object, to contend?
There will be no clarifying questions. I don't answer to you anymore. My name is Amanda Kaufman, and I resign my position as teacher for the Shawnee Mission School District effective immediately. Several years ago, a good friend decided to leave education, and she said to me, "Amanda, teaching is like a bad marriage. You never get your needs met, but you stay in it for the kids." I didn't fully understand what she meant until this past month. Just like a bad relationship, our communication has broken down. You aren't listening. I thought that maybe like a troubled relationship, we could go to counseling, get an outside perspective to work out our differences. But when you failed to show up to the conversation, but sent your lawyer instead, I finally understood that this just isn't going to work. The kids and I deserve better. Despite the accusation that we as teachers have not been focused on the students during this difficult year, I've been thinking the most about what my students are taking away from watching the way you treat their teachers. Talking to the board or the administrators in this building is like shouting into the wind, and I won't waste my breath. But I would like to address my students, many of whom are watching the live stream tonight. All right, guys. You all know that the most important lesson I want you to take away from your time with me is just because you can doesn't mean you should. Usually I'm applying that lesson to technology violations or intellectual bullying, but it's true in life as well. I could accept this contract, smile, and stay silent about the lies the district perpetuates about its teachers, but that doesn't mean I should. I hope that in your future relationships, whether they be personal or professional, that you will walk away when you should. Just because you can accept less for yourself doesn't mean you should. Here's another important lesson. Despite what you may be told, respect should not have to be earned. It is owed to you as a human being, especially by those who have power over you in some way. Disrespect in an uneven power dynamic is bullying. When we see bullying, we must stand up and call it out, even when it's hard, even when it comes at a cost. Just because you could stay silent doesn't mean you should. Starting over is never easy. You 8th graders know that well as you prepare for high school. Let me assure you, it only gets harder as you age. But just because you can stay in a familiar place doesn't mean you should. Go chase your dreams. Find your passions. Remember me in your acceptance speeches. But don't worry about me. I'm a highly educated, very talented teacher. They are in high demand right now in other districts. And finally, I don't know what I'll be doing when the bell rings at 8:40 tomorrow morning. But I won't be greeting you in the hallways. Please don't see my empty doorway as a sign that I've abandoned you or that I don't care. That empty doorway is my sign that you are still my favorite humans, and I will always be your biggest advocate. There will be no clarifying questions. I don't answer to you anymore.
And ladies and gentlemen, this is not about politics. It's not about censorship. It's not about whether you are right, you lean on the left or on the right. No. It's about basic responsibility and common sense. And the fact that this even need to be said proves how far things have gone off the rails. It's terrible. And I think we need more parents like this, more fathers, mothers who refuse to check out, who understand that protecting kids, the little ones, isn't extreme. It's actually bare minimum. Because if parents don't draw the line, someone else will decide where it goes. And history shows they won't draw it where it belongs. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. And the more I watch this stuff, the more it feels like common sense has completely left the room. Yeah. And this shouldn't even be controversial. It shouldn't be political. It's one of those things where you hear it and think, why are adults even debating this? And here's the thing, nobody wants to say this loud. Boys and girls are different. That's not hateful speech, just reality. Anyone who has played sports know this. And I have seen it myself. Boys are generally faster, stronger, and more physical. And that's not an opinion, it's simply biology. You don't need to study to understand it. You just need to observe. You just need eyes. That's why people keep asking the obvious question, why is it always men competing in women's sports and never women competing in men's sports? Why does it only go one way? Have you ever stopped and asked that question or wondered? I can tell you, because deep down, everyone knows there is an advantage. Pretending otherwise doesn't make it fair. It makes it dishonest. And hey, ladies and gentlemen, I understand why parents are angry. I really do. When you show up, speak respectfully, bring facts, and the people in charge still don't listen, it feels hopeless. But here's the truth. We don't need chaos or even threats. What we need is accountability, lawsuits, voting, defunding, replacing people who refuse to do their jobs. That's how change actually happens. Yeah. Terrible, ladies and gentlemen. It really is. And what really hits me emotionally wasn't just hearing the parents talk about their daughters, the dedicated athletes. Imagine girls who trained hard, showed up early, stayed late, gave everything they have, and then they are told fairness doesn't matter anymore. Thus, that their safety doesn't matter, that biology doesn't matter, because real girls are paying the price, losing medals, losing records, losing scholarships, opportunities they worked years for, just gone, just like that. And nobody in power seems to think that matters. That's what makes people angry. Not because they are hateful, but because they are watching something unfair happen and being told to accept it. Any parent would be crushed by that. And ladies and gentlemen, let's not pretend this is abstract. No, we have already seen what happens when common sense is ignored. Girls get injured, losing teeth, getting hurt in ways that never should have happened. And this isn't theoretical, it's real. And once someone gets seriously injured, it's too late to say, maybe we should have thought about this through. No. And the sad part is that none of this should be complicated. Protecting women's sports should be automatic. This shouldn't depend on who's loudest or what ideology is popular. It should be basic responsibility. The fact that parents even have to beg for this is mind-numbing. At least I was glad to see the community standing up together, parents begging their daughters, young men speaking up for the girls. That matters. Yeah. This isn't men versus women or left versus right. This is right versus wrong. Fair versus unfair. Truth versus pretending. Because at some point, leaders are supposed to protect the people they serve, especially kids. See? Because when they refuse to do that, people are going to push back. And they should. Because if adults won't speak for the girls, who will? Who will? The truth is, this conversation shouldn't even exist. But it only exists because common sense has been replaced with ideology. And when that happens, regular people eventually say, enough. Protect the girls. Keep sports fair. And stop pretending reality is offensive. It really is that simple. Yeah. Well, folks, I want to hear your views, I want to hear your comments in the comment section box. And if you enjoy this, be sure to click on the next one.